I'm not gonna lie, I really haven't thought through enough into making this video because this is an incredibly recent topic, but holy shit, Day Job is like the best thing ever, it needs more support. ABC's track record as of recent really hasn't been the greatest, and I'd argue that they haven't made anything exceptional like, ever. The most watched shows that air on the channel are usually ones that debuted on Fox, such as Family Guy, The Simpsons, and so on. And their original series don't tend to get anywhere in terms of viewing, and most of the time they just end up being very mediocre. Besides The Good Doctor. Day Job, on the other hand, really seems like it's going to be the opposite. I stumbled upon the show by complete accident when I found out that DomTK worked on it. DomTK probably being mine and my girlfriend's favorite animator. And while I'm not completely sure on what part he had to play in making the show, some of its writing and comedy is super reminiscent of his videos, with the humor relying on nonsensical and weird situations that are so absurd they become really funny. Like the fact of the first episode starting off with most of the main characters freaking out because someone stuffed a baby into a claw machine. I am certain that if anything, Dom was just an animator on the show and only just an animator, because the show was mainly directed by Paul worked on several other animated series I've personally never heard of before. Upon researching his previous works, I found his YouTube channel, which contains small animated shorts featuring the protagonist of Day Job being put through various hijinks. The shorts were uploaded 1 year before the show's release, so I like to believe that Paul always had an idea for the show's premise and wanted to someday make it a reality. While that primarily is just a theory of mine, in a general sense, seeing something being made a year back and it being turned into a fleshed out piece of media later on is generally really cool to see. The show's main premise is very simple, with mostly following a bunch of employees working at a bowling alley, with the main character Ivan being super incompetent at his job. He's just like me for real. The show derives most of its comedy from that simple premise in the first episode, with the show itself running at an extremely fast pace, landing joke after joke onto the viewer. At the moment there are only 3 episodes, so I can't really speak on too many things revolving around it. But with a premise such as that, you would expect it to get real old real fast. But despite this, the show manages to make each episode stand out from one another, with episode 3 in particular not entirely relying on comedy and instead just showing off the lives of the main characters and the problems they are going through. In a way, it reminds me of my favorite series on Newgrounds, Sublo and Tangy Mustard, which starts off as a very jokey and comedic series before becoming a very engaging ride into following the casual lives of the main characters. Despite this being my main point of being engaged in Day Job, the comedy of the show is still really good. As mentioned before, the show tends to throw jokes constantly with its fast-paced nature, but most of the humor in the show really lands, and isn't afraid to be out of the norm and weird with its humor, with it at times bringing up gore and sex jokes when it needs to. Unlike like the characters just casually saying the fuck word, which is like, surprisingly something you don't see on television nowadays. That being said, I am a sucker for very stupid and absurd humor, and the show has lots of it. Sometimes jokes are just thrown in for the sake of being jokes, and a lot of the time they don't really make any sense or give themselves a reason as to why they were put in, but it still manages to be really funny. Obviously, I think comparisons could be taken from shows like Bob's Burgers or Smiling Friends, but despite this, I think this show still has its own sense of chaotic energy that makes it stand out from anything else, despite how dumb it can get at times.
Watch it, you're stepping in our, area. Yeah.
Sorry, your area?
Yeah, you're throwing off my game.
And you're in it right now, so how
okay,
about
relax.
you leave?
It's a free
No.
bowling alley.
No, it's not!
We-
No, it's
just
not!
relax a little
That's
bit,
where
guys.
you're wrong!
Just relax a little bit.
We are
You've
here.
been
Everyone,
here
take it
for
easy.
like
You're
six-
shut up for a second.
You've
Just
been-
The show's animation style also manages to be very unique and charming, with the whole aesthetic pretending like it's being filmed from a camera, and the show taking advantage of this aspect with small interview segments being sprinkled at certain points in the show. I would give comparisons to something like The Office, but there are many other things that have a similar aesthetic, so by contrast it's not too original. But I think overall for the show it works really well since it uses 2D animation, and the style itself being simplistic with minimal movements just adds to its overall personality. The character designs themselves really remind me of the looks of Lilo and Stitch and the good parts of Steven Universe, because the show looks like absolute ass. And that is as far as I'm willing to go on describing the show. As mentioned before, there are currently only 3 episodes available, but they're all free to watch on YouTube, and I will be linking a playlist in the description that contains all of them. Because god do I really think this show has tons of potential, and I hope it gets all the attention it deserves. So feel free to watch through it if you want to, or if you have the time. Because the more craving this show gets to be an actual series, the better. Not to mention that I genuinely really want to see where the show goes from its inception. So in brief, watch it if you want, I won't force you, but yeah. Hi, this is a segment at the end of the video where I will be talking about stuff. So, okay, this is a new thing I'm doing. as I've made like a Green Man server, so here's all the good fan art from that, just scrolling by as I talk about shit. So I haven't made like an analysis video like this in a while, so that's probably why, well, you haven't seen like a video this long. And I want to be like a fresh take, like talking about something I genuinely really like, so here it is. It's not like too big of a video, and it's not like too long, but I think for it being something, it works, and I'm happy to like put out something that I've wanted to put out for a while. I have actually been working on like another analysis video for a while. That video in itself, I won't spoil what it is because it's like it's stupidly like really funny, but I've been working on multiple animation like bits from it, and it's basically an entirely animated video, and it's been hard for me to work on with all the other shit I've been multitasking on. I've recently gotten to work on Tales Gets Trolled, which I applied for it recently because they actually like pay their artists who work on the comic, and I've mostly just been doing shit for that, and none of my panels or pages have come out yet, but that's mostly what I've been working on, and I've been getting paid up. That's good, alongside with me working on like multiple other side projects such as Juniors and the F1F mod I'm working with my girlfriend, and the other games I'm working with my girlfriend. So there's just a lot of shit going on, which is probably why I haven't been able to put out as many videos. But I feel like as long as I will try to put out like at least like one video every year, I feel like I'd be happy with that. So, you know, don't expect like too much stuff from me, as I am busy with stuff, but yeah, maybe. I'm glad I was able to put out at least like one analysis video this year, so that's something I'm happy about. I have mentioned in multiple parts of me like recording like my live streams that I have been working on like a PT video with Lost Man. That's canceled. Mostly because like Lost Man himself doesn't really have enough time to edit it because he's like really fucking busy with college. The video script is like really fucking old. It's like, what is it? Describing basically events before the game came out. Like it's basically about like April build stuff and not like anything involving the final game. So by that point the video is like automatically outdated, and it was written by the time Eggplant build came out, so like I think no point in fucking releasing that at this point, but that is something I've been working on, I guess. Maybe at one point I'll release, because there has been one thing that was edited for it by Lost Man. Maybe I'll release that someday, but as of right now, that's it. I'll stop talking now, bye.